My husband abandoned us to see Dead and Company's final show, leaving me and the kids broke. I've decided to plan our divorce. My husband is a deadhead. His entire identity is built around this band, and he's seen them and their various incarnations over 50 times. Normally, I don't mind, but 2 years ago, I was in an accident that left me unable to work. I now receive a tiny disability check once a month for it. He works, but it hasn't been easy with the cost of everything skyrocketing. My disability check doesn't even cover the full cost of our rent, even though our rent is the lowest in our area. Long story short, Dead and Company is made up of what remains of the original band, and this is supposed to be their last tour. We live on the East Coast, where he's already seen them twice, which was already more than we could afford. But a few days ago, he took out a loan and bought tickets to go see their final show in San Francisco, along with round-trip airfare, hotel, and whatever else he needs out there. The kids and I are left with $10, some pocket change, and what feels like a very big problem. School starts back in a month, and the kids both need school supplies and clothes. I could name 1,000 things we need, things that we're going without while money is tight. But this is what he chose to do. We're not going to starve over the weekend, but I don't even have enough money to go get them a pizza while their dad is having a blast on the other side of the country and hanging out with his online Deadhead fam. I understand that this band means a lot to him, and I tried to be supportive of that, but I feel like he's crossed the line here. He refused to talk about how much all of this is costing us. But when I looked up the cost of concert tickets, flight tickets, hotels, transportation, and food, the bare minimum figure I get is still around $1,000. It could very well be a lot more than that, and it probably is. I've supported him through a lot of things. But this weekend, while he's off having fun and leaving us to fend for ourselves, I'm slowly planning my divorce. I'm playing nice while I get all of my ducks in a row, but this is it for me. I'm tired of watering down essentials like shampoo or laundry soap, living off rice and beans just for him to turn around and take out a loan so he can go to a show all by himself across the country. I commented somewhere below to let everyone know the current plan. Apologies if you have to scroll to find it. Opie adds an update to a deleted comment. You guys, I wish I had the time to thank you all individually for the overwhelming support I've received here. I really was not expecting that when I posted. Even though I'm dealing with something so difficult, I feel so much better than I did a few hours ago, knowing there are so many decent and kind people out there. So thank you for that. I mean it. As for everything else, divorce is inevitable. He might not be a total monster, and I'm sure on any other day I would have been able to tell you 1,000 different things that are good about him. But this is a huge betrayal, and I just don't see how we're going to come back from that. We are only barely making ends meet now, and this one single, selfish act of his leaves us thousands of dollars in the hole overnight. I'm occasionally capable of small miracles, but pulling money I don't have out of my ass isn't one of them. It's the weekend now, so I won't be able to even think about speaking to a lawyer until Monday at the earliest. I wish I could say I'm packing up now, but the reality is I'm stuck here, at least for a little while. The $10 I have in my account doesn't go very far these days. I'll have money again on the 1st. So tomorrow, I'll be packing just the essentials, like birth certificates and similar important papers, and taking them to my friend's house for safekeeping for now. I'll also be calling my landlord to see about having my name removed from the lease agreement. I'm not going to tell my husband I'm leaving yet, though. He's going to come home and tell me what a beautiful experience it was, tell me how much he wishes I could have been there, and how he'll take me one of these days and make it up to me eventually. And I'll smile and play along for the next 2 weeks. I'm not sure where I'm going yet, but I do know I'm not going to pay 3/4 of the rent just to be immediately broke again and have the lights and water and phone all turned off a few days later because he put us in this financial pit. I hope his social media fam are impressed enough by his presence and Instagram stories to make all this worth it to him. I hate it. I can't even begin to explain how hurt, shocked, tired, and angry I am. I'm also numb. I don't know how it's possible to feel all this at the same time, but hey, here I am. Thank you, though, from the bottom of my heart. And for the handful of peons wringing their hands about me being a leech and sucking the joy out of his life, keep in mind that I worked from the time I was 16 up until I got hurt, and there were plenty of times throughout this relationship where I was the breadwinner. I provided for him during those times because that's what people in relationships do for one another. I'm very sorry you've never cared enough about someone else or had anyone care about you to understand that. I draw a disability now because I paid into a system that was put into place to do for people exactly what it's doing for me right now. I appreciate the offers. I really, really do. But if you need to donate to anything, please donate to your local animal shelter, food closet, or a needy family in your neighborhood. This blew up way bigger than I thought my rant was worth to anyone, but the kids and I are going to be okay. We're leaving tonight to stay with a couple of friends. Everything is moving very quickly now. It's sort of surreal. OP updates the original post. Update. I wasn't expecting I'd need an update already, but he knows. Someone here decided to share my vent elsewhere, so he saw it on Facebook. He's angry that I've made him look like an ass. I told him all I did was talk about it without naming him. And if people decide he's an ass based on his actions, he's got no one to blame but himself. I'm so nervous I'm shaking, and I feel like I might vomit. Some friends have offered to come help me pack and let the boys and me stay with them until I can figure out something more permanent. Also, please don't try to send me or anyone pretending to be me and collecting on my behalf anything. We're in good hands right now, and we're not going to go without. I figured since this whole thing blew up today, I might as well tell all of my friends what's going on, and they've really pulled up for us, so we're definitely going to be okay. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 wrote, "Divorce him. He has made it clear he doesn't care about you or your kids. Anyone who is that selfish needs to be held accountable, and the only way to do that is by leaving him." Opie responded, "I'm finally realizing this. He's always been a bit selfish, but usually it's smaller things, like buying one of his fam birthday rounds with our last $5. We were already struggling because his last 2 East Coast shows really set us back hard. He missed work for both those shows, but we could have skimped because he used his PTO for those shows. But not only did he take out a loan for San Francisco, he has no PTO left, and he's missing 3 days of work, which means his next paycheck is going to be super slim, and we'll have a new loan payment to make. I'm expecting this to set us back at least 2 or 3 months, but probably more. The kids go back to school in a month. The youngest had a massive growth spurt, and literally none of his clothes fit. He's got a single pair of jeans, 2 pairs of shorts, and I think 5 t-shirts that he can still wear. I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I'm tired of making all these sacrifices just so he can go do whatever he feels like. Commenter 2 wrote, "That is shockingly bad. He doesn't care if you and his own children are low on food and necessities. If he's gotten this low, who knows what he will do in the future? And you said he's always been selfish. This goes beyond selfishness, and I agree with all the other comments about divorce. There's no going back from this, at least, that's my opinion. I wouldn't be able to ever see him the same again, and I'd be absolutely heartbroken. I'm sorry he did this. Don't let anyone downplay his actions." Opie responded, "I keep going back and forth between heartache and rage. We've been together for almost 20 years, and I cannot believe he would stoop so low to just leave us like that. Life feels so unreal right now. I have a doctor appointment this week that I'm going to have to call and cancel first thing Monday morning because I don't have the money for it anymore. This is so upsetting. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't sleep at all last night worrying about this stuff. I can't wrap my head around it. Update. I was injured in a work-related accident that has severely affected my mobility, and this process has been ridiculously slow, in part because my lawyer told me we needed to know how well I might expect to recover, and a slew of other things, and those things require time and doctors. I've been basically guaranteed a fairly large settlement. The problem is, I'm planning on filing for divorce tomorrow. I had a fairly solid career before my accident, while my husband sort of skipped from job to job. I was fine with that at the time, but I'm on disability now, and my husband has made a series of increasingly awful financial decisions that, well, let's just say they're bad, and I can't stay married to him anymore. Are either of us entitled to alimony? Will he be entitled to any of this settlement when it comes through? If I collect child support from him, is that going to have any bearing on my other case? I'm calling my attorney and maybe a divorce attorney tomorrow. If my current attorney can't do it, hopefully he can recommend someone. But I don't know how long it'll take to set up a meeting, and I guess I just wanted to ask here first, so I'll have some kind of heads up. We've been married almost 20 years in South Carolina, if that matters. My accident was about 2 years ago. He's never acted as my caretaker or anything, because I stayed at my mother's home with our children, where she did most of the caretaking when I actually required it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 advised, "He shouldn't be, but this is something you should talk to your divorce lawyer about. They'll have far more information and the steps you will need to take to protect yourself and your kids. This is a little above Reddit's pay grade. Opie responded, I'm planning on doing that ASAP. I'm just very nervous and freaking out a little because, of course, everything blew up over the weekend when all of the offices are closed. 9 a.m. can't get here fast enough. Thank you, though. Commenter 2 stated, congrats on moving on. It's never easy. I think that the settlement payment should be separate property if received after the legal separation filing date. When you file, you list community assets and debts, as well as separate property and debts, which include things you had before the marriage and had after the separation. I would think that since you don't have a judgment or payment yet, you should be entitled to that as separate property. Opie responded, thank you. It's been nerve-wracking and kind of scary. The part about listing community assets and debts, as well as separate property and debts including things after separation, scares me. A few days ago, I found out he'd taken out a loan for personal reasons. I have no idea where or how much it was for. All I know is I didn't get a dime of it. I tried to guesstimate how much he got based on his plans, but I've been told by others that number is likely way off. I'm worried that he's done this before because, while he makes decent money, we've been so broke, barely scraping by after bills and stuff. He should have at least $500 left over every month, more if he's had any raises since starting. But we can't even afford the basics anymore. So, if it turns out he's been getting credit cards or other loans and owes a ton of money without my knowledge, am I on the hook for that, even if I didn't benefit from it in any way? Commenter 3 warned. Unfortunately, the answer is most likely yes. Sign up for a credit monitoring service and run a credit report. Better yet, sign up for 2 accounts, one in his name. You'll be able to see what loans and credit cards are taken out, account payment history, balances, and, importantly, monitor your credit so he can't take out more cards or loans. You'll have to lock your credit with all 3 credit score companies. Do this now.